This is what they're playing for at Ellen Road, Thode Tin Pot, the John Smith's Yorkshire Cup. And what a pedigree Bradford Northern and Castleford have got in this cup. Bradford Northern finalists 16 times, Castleford finalists 13 times, 8 in the last 11 years, and they've both won it within the last 2 years. You couldn't wish for two better sides, whatever their positions in the league. Well, with me this afternoon, Ron Hill, of course, knows Castleford well, was a player with them. In a minute or so, we'll be looking at a Bradford Northern viewpoint, Ron, but let's have a Castleford viewpoint from you. They've won 3 out of 6 league games. They've struggled a bit, but they're really favourites today, aren't they?
Well, they were very much favourites against Wakefield Trinity last year, and it's not always the best position to be in, I don't feel, going into a cup final as favourites, because you've got to play your utmost in that position. But I look at Bradford Northern, they've got a very strong pack, and they've had this planned pack for a long, long time, and they built up. And if they dominate, and of course Castleford are lacking league crooks this afternoon, that's a terrible blow to them, but they've got to learn to play without the players. John Joyner's virtually at the end of his career now. They have to play without John, so I think this could be the start for Castleford to go into the future and prove that they can be a top side without the likes of John Joyner. Very important for them.
They have a great attacker, of course, in Graham Steadman, and they've got good running backs.
Well, a lot of the spectators were very critical of Darryl van der Velde when he moved Graham Steadman to full-back at the start of the season, but I think he's been fully justified for some of the performances I've seen from Graham, because they've been truly great attacking performances, and he's come on and under the high balls, he's started taking those with absolute confidence, and I think it could be a blessing for Great Britain as well.
Is it your feeling then, Ron, from what you've said, that Cass may have the edge in the backs, Northern have it in the pack?
I think you could possibly say that, but I think I'm saying that because the likes of Sean Irwin, who's moved from centre to centre, a Great Britain player, but he's got to learn the second row game, learn it very, very quickly. Graham Southernwood, a young lad. Dean Sampson will come in for Lee Crooks today. He's been out for 6 months suspension. Keith England, of course, is Keith England, and he'll relish in taking on the Bradford Northern pack, just as he did the Featherstone Rovers back in the semi-final. But I think saying that, you've got a great loose forward in Nico, so maybe if Northern are going to beat Castleford, they've got to do it in their forwards, but cup ties, they're all even at the end of the day, Keith. You start off even. Never mind there's a red-hot favourite or there's this and that, because going into a cup final, I think you like to go in second favourites, because anybody knows that it does start off even.
Well, one man who's been listening to you with the greatest of interest, Ron, and ready to put in his little motty, is a man whose return to Odsal may well inspire Bradford Northern, Peter Fox. Peter, when do you officially take over the reins at Odsal?
Well, after the match on the 27th of October this month. I gave Featherstone a month's notice, Keith, but they chose not to take it up, so I take over officially 27th of October.
But of course today is an extremely important game for Bradford Northern. I take it you have had a quiet word with the lads in the dressing room.
Yes, Dave's asked for 1 or 2 pointers, and it's important because I'm going to work with David. He's a key man in the side, of course. I need to take some pressure off him, having another fellow to talk to, you know, on the touchline side and not while he's organising on the field.
Obviously, Featherstone regret you're going, but you yourself must feel almost that you're going home because you had so many triumphs at Odsal.
Yes, I had 8 good years at Odsal, and that's where we got most of the success. I'm sorry to believe in Featherstone because we built up a nice little team there, and I sincerely hope that they do well, stay in the first division, and I know the lads will pull it out because they've got some very good players.
Northern at the moment are trailing down the bottom of the championship table. They looked a poor side, in all honesty, at St Helens last week, but on paper they've a very good side, haven't they?
Well, basically the forwards are very strong, and I think they've been struggling knowing which halfbacks to play, and with injuries they've had quite a bit of trouble in that area. But we hope to straighten that out, and we'll give the lads a chance, and we'll decide who's the best players to be playing, and when the chance comes to recruit, we shall recruit.
Will you have any money to play with? Most clubs are pleading poverty at the moment, quite justifiably.
Well, initially, I don't think so, and being at the bottom of the league, another reason, it's usual that every club I've gone to has been struggling at one time, Keith, but it takes a little bit of time just to build confidence, and I think the thing is that most of the players are really there, but it's just bringing the 1 or 2 in that's going to make the difference to the whole team. So it's a question of getting a team together rather than a stack of individuals.
You must have had a good welcome when you went back there for the first time.
Yes, I was at dinner on Friday night, and the news had broken during the week, so I got a very good reception, and clearly I had a very good understanding with the supporters at Bradford before. They were very reluctant to see me go, and I think if Harry Womersley had not died, or the football chairman with me who took me to Bradford Northern, then perhaps I might not have had this last break.
One final point then, Peter. This afternoon, before you came back, everyone was tipping Castleford. Are Bradford in with a chance this afternoon?
No question they're in with a chance, because I've had a word with one or two of the lads simply, and I just asked them, I said, where's your confidence gone? I said, last year you murdered Featherstone Rovers. You came a few weeks ago and we beat you comfortably. I said, and what I see is the same players. So something must have happened to you players, because David Hobbs has been pulling it out himself. Don't leave it all to David now. Well, he'll have all the control on the field, and I think the lads will respond to him, because we just thought one or two little things out. I know where Castleford's strengths lie, and one of them is going to be sat on the bench after today, Lee Crooks, we've heard. So, yes, I think Bradford Northern's got a chance today, so it'll be a keen match, good side, Castleford, and we hope that Bradford Northern's going to be a better side before this season's up.
Thank you, Peter. Don't think there's much doubt about that. Peter Fox, controversial character, always outspoken character, Ron, but you've got to give it to him. Talks a lot of sense.
He talks a lot of sense. I like to talk to Peter in situations like that, because I think when Peter's cool and his judgment is total, I think you've got the absolute epitome of a man who loves his rugby league. And he's got so much experience. It's when certain people get in with a microphone straight after a game when there's been a controversial situation and Peter says some things I don't think he really regrets, but he might have said it in a different vein. But I know Peter, I've known him a long time, and you can't have anything but the greatest respect for the man's ability and his attitude towards the game of rugby league.
Indeed. Well, the two teams, as you can see, are out there. Castleford in their black and amber. Have I got those colours right? It's amber, not yellow, as a former Cas player, Ron.
Yes, Cas in black and amber. Certainly, I think colours have changed so much now with the traditional jerseys going to the background, and we've got all the modern equipment, if you like. Which, to be fair, the youngsters, they like to watch their team in their home colours, and I think they have good jerseys. A very costly item, but a lot of controversy, of course, there with regard to whether they should change the strip every season. But it is a bit of a promotional marketing situation. You need the revenue, and they love playing it.
The Bradford Northern side, Roger Simpson moving to fullback. Ian Wilkinson is not fit, which of course means that there's a space at half-back. And now Brett Eaty's been a problem since he came from New Zealand, because he came with rave notices, had half a dozen really cracking games, and then slipped into the background, Ron.
Well, yes, you've had Brett Eaty and Neil Summers interchanging in the number 7 slot, and I'm sure it's one of the difficult spots for Bradford Northern. I think the loose forward there, you see Steve Barnard, he's had a couple of shots coming on in that position, but he is primarily a loose forward. And it's interesting to see him at 13 instead of John Pendlebury. John Pendlebury seems to have been the figure at the back of that Bradford Northern pack, but obviously David Hobbs rates Steve Barnard. He's in there instead of John Pendlebury, and playing behind a front 5 like that, you've got a good chance to learn the game fairly quickly.
The Castleford side, now, as we've already made the point twice, I think Lee Crooks is bound to be badly missed, Ron.
Well, the form he's been in this year has been absolutely outstanding. A lot of people said his career was finished, but he went to Castleford, and Darryl van der Velde and him have got a great rapport. He's been so fit, it's been unbelievable. His qualities have never been any doubt. And one thing Lee Crooks wants to do is go on tour at the end of the season. And he's set his heart on it. Malcolm really knows that. Malcolm really seen him have many magnificent games already this season. And this is going to be a great loss. But as I said before, Keith, I think it is important that the likes of Lee Crooks and John Joyner, Castleford can't play without them, because you're going to get injuries and such that. And how many players play every game of the season? And it's very, very important that they believe in themselves.
John Holsworth is the referee, very experienced official, and former referee of the year, of course, in the Truman's and lately Greenall's Man of Steel Awards.
Yes, I suppose John will be looking to have a good game here this afternoon. He is one of our top referees, of course, and he'll be looking for a good, clean game, and both sets of supporters feeling happy about it, if not coaches, because he won't want to be grabbed in the tunnel, as we believe the rugby union game had a little bit of yesterday.
Carl Fairbank captaining Bradford Northern, Ron, this afternoon, a member of a very good pack.
That's very, very interesting, isn't it? Because David Hobbs is out there, and of course he was player coach, and invariably you say that player coach would be captain as well. Very difficult. So Carl Fairbank, he is a great player in my eyes. I would love to have seen him in the Castleford team. I believe he is the one man in the Bradford pack which can really go forward and take them on. But I think it's interesting also to see Nico. This will be Nico's first game as captain for Castleford, of course. John Joyner for many years. Lee Crooks would have been the captain, but Nico in there. He's only played half dozen games. Castleford, he's captain in a cup final.
Well, we're ready for the kick-off, and Cass, just to repeat, wearing the black and amber. Bradford Northern in their traditional colours, multicolours, red and black and yellow. Don't think we'd recognise Northern without that colour in some shape or form, Ron.
No, I don't think so. I think another interesting case is this Graham Bradley as well. Within the space of 2 weeks, he's played in the World Cup final, he's played in the Grand Final in Australia, and now here he is in a Cup final in Great Britain, the Yorkshire Cup final. He must wonder where he is, mustn't he?
Well, it's great for him, Graham Bradley of Penrith Panthers, and of course another Antipodean, a Kiwi outside of him in Blackmore.
Yes, of course, Richard Blackmore, he went off after 2 minutes in the St Helens game, and then he came back against Hull Kings Rovers. It looked as though his stay with Castleford was going to be short-lived, but very strong and powerful lad. He said, I want to play. He's proved himself in the A-team, scored 2 tries against Hull Kings Rovers last week, and there he is in a cup final.
So Bradford Northern, who beat Featherstone Rovers 2 seasons ago to win it, and Castleford, who beat Wakefield Trinity last season. Castleford, the holders, remarkable record, 8 appearances in 11 finals today. But of course, Bradford with their own marvellous history of 16 finals, and David Hobbs already giving it the boot down the middle. And I think a bit of fingertip there from Graham Steadman. So he put all the Northern forwards on side, inside the Cass 22. Well, that's a penalty each by Mr. Holworth to establish early authority. The initial skirmishes.
Yes, they're interesting, those early penalties, aren't they, Keith? Normally 1 or 2 either side, and let's get on with the game, lads. And as long as the lads do accept it in that frame, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Well, John Holsworth is a very shrewd official. He knows if you award 1 or 2 penalties in non-kickable positions, then nobody's worried.
Yes, I suppose a couple of penalties and we'll get near the centre spot and start again.
It's Castleford, acting half-back, Graham Southernwood. Beefy England. How did he get that nickname, Ron?
Well, I don't know. I think it came from feeding him on raw meat. I think that's just about it, the way he plays his rugby. He really does love his rugby league, and the heart of the game. Whereas you ask most players which game would they like to mix, it's the one Keith wants to play in, the hardest one.
It's Castleford moving inside the northern half. Bright sunshine bathing Ellen Road. Good crowd. That's neat work by Michael Ford. One of the great unsung halfbacks, really. Did great work with Wigan and then Oldham. And there's the bomb. Roger Simpson under test. Took it beautifully.
Well, that was a brilliant take by Roger Simpson. We're right up in the gods here, Keith, and you can see the sun down on the pitch. And I believe that one up into the sun must have been difficult, but didn't he make it look easy?
Yes, the bomb. Terrible ball to field, because when big forwards are coming up, you're liable to get them clattering into you within half a second. And yet another penalty.
Well, that's a super penalty in my eyes. It's the one thing that's crept into our game a lot, is the running off at the acting halfback. John Holdsworth spotted Graham Southernwood doing it there, and he was straight down and clamped on it. I just hope John keeps that for the rest of the game, because I do believe it is keeping our game very much around the play of the ball, and we want to see the ball moving wide. Good refereeing decision there.
Bradford Northern in possession, 15 metres inside their own half. That's Hobbs. Tony Marchant, of course, playing against his own club.
Yes, a try scored in that 86 final win of Castleford's at Wembley against Hull Kings Rovers, of course, and Tony will be looking to put one over on his old mates today.
Graham Steadman, who, as Ron said, made the transition from stand-off half. Everybody thought Graham was primarily a runner and couldn't take the pressure.
Well, he's certainly proved them wrong. Darryl van der Velde very shrewd in putting him back to full back there, because he felt Graham wasn't getting the best out of the 3 quarters and not the best out of his own game. And if he can carry on, as I say, with the form he's shown this season, it'll be very, very interesting.
Norman almost got to that loose ball. Carl Fairbank a little unlucky. The knock-on run, head of ball to Northern. This is interesting.
Well, that's right, and Michael Ford there gesturing to the touch judge on the near side here, David Nathan, that he felt that that ball was pulled out, and of course that is an offence this year, and really it's something that's got to be camped on. Very difficult for the referees though.
Roger Simpson getting up in the line just outside the Castleford 22. Brett Eady. Good centre, McGowan, one of the underrated centres in the game. Doesn't often get mentioned in terms of international squads, but good runner. There are men over there on the left. That's McGowan pushing it out to Marchant. And Darrell Shelford, two good tall centres.
Yes, Steve McGowan is a good centre on his day. Of course, he was one of the player that was going to go to Hull, and something happened with the transfer there, and he's still at Bradford Northern. But very difficult for three quarters sometimes, Keith, when the side isn't winning, the pack's not getting on top, for them to show the best of their form.
Castleford with 5 minutes gone, no score. Castleford in possession. England taking it up again. Just inside the Cass half. Well, not a clean play the ball. Oh, I think that's a clear case of taking the eye off the ball, but very lucky that it went backwards. Tidied up by Neil Batty, who's made a tremendous return after an injury which seemed to have put him out of the game.
Well, he in fact had a testimonial finish in his career, and then extra surgery on the knee, and he's taken a chance coming back, but he also has fought his way back into the Castleford first team, and just the sort of runner they need.
Steadman angling the kick beautifully. What a nice kick.
It's interesting, that's a beautiful kick, absolutely down to perfection that, but in these days with the head and ball going to the defending side now, people say a great kick like that doesn't get the full benefit, and a lot of teams like it to keep in field now, Keith, so that they can get them round there, and by the time the forwards have got back, they've most well used up two of their tackles. So a brilliant kick, but possibly you don't get the full benefit of it.
It does, however, mean that Bradford Northern are going to have to come out from their own 22-metre area again. Carl Fairbank, a Great Britain tourist, down under without really forcing himself into the front line. That's E.T. Well, there wasn't a lot of room there. The tackles are running away. No doubt David Hobbs will be ready to bang it downfield. Drive by Carl Fairbank, looking for support. No ball. Bit of an inch-by-inch progress at the moment. There's Hobbs. Well, there's the downtowner on.
Yes, it was, and it looked as though if Mike Ford had gone straight for David Hobbs, then he could have charged that kick down.
Oh, that's a bad knock on. Oh, that's a good pass to McGowan. Now Northern in full flow. Fairbank up to the 22. An unfortunate knock on set up that position, and that could be the first points of the day.
Well, I think it was like I was saying before the game, Keith, it's all even in a cup final. St John Ellis, Graham Steadman, they'll have dropped the ball off to each other like that many times already this season. They won't have knocked it on, but the tension of a cup final, the sun just looking up, there were 3 or 4 defenders there. Graham Steadman would have most probably beaten the first 2 or 3 on his own there. He didn't, he dropped the ball to St John Ellis, and then of course, because it's 6 and 7s, Tony Smith goes offside, and as you say, a great chance for David Hobbs to go into the lead for Bradford Northern.
So a chance, simple on first appearance for David Hobbs. As you can see, just inside the 22 and just to the side of the posts. Normally, in practice session, David Hobbs could put this over with his eyes shut. He does it with his eyes open, and that's 2-0. Bradford Northern. Good heartening start for the side, and for David Hobbs, the man who has lost his job as coaching Supremo at Odsal, but I imagine might feel a sense of relief that he can get on with playing the game, Ron.
Well, I think it was dependent on who came in that position, and of course David Hobbs will know Peter Fox for many years, and I'm sure he appreciates the quality of Peter Fox, and it's been agreed that they can work alongside each other. So yes, I would think, with them being at the bottom of the table, it is a big relief for David Hobbs, and of course a cup on the shelf will help him to go forward.
First blood to Northern then. 2-0, and they're running it inside their own 22 with Roger Simpson. Good elusive runner, Roger Simpson, another player who went on the tour without establishing himself in the side. Oh, that was a head-high tackle on Hamer, and he ducked underneath it. He's a lad who is ambitious for a test place. What do you think of his chances, Ron?
Well, I think there are a lot of wide open spaces in there. Dean Sampson on the Castleford side's another one, so you could have two props vying for it today. There aren't too many spots already booked on that tour. Not for my money anyway. And I'm sure Malcolm really has got quite an open eye on it. Anybody has got a good 6 months to catch his eye.
Well, certainly Malcolm really is here today in the grandstand watching this game. Brett Eatey, Hobbs, and Northern already showing a lot more spirit in these opening minutes than they did in the league game at St Helens last weekend. Tony Anderson, he's been around quite a lot. Of course, has known triumphs with Halifax. Hamer up to the Castleford 22, and it's Nolan calling the tune at the moment. Hobbs, Medley, he's a good runner, but he's going into touch. Well, he's the legs of the pack, isn't he, Ron?
Well, he's always devastating. He was just running on an angle a little bit there. I think Paul, when he's going straight through the gap, he's far more dangerous, and it was good shepherding by David Nelson, who just ran him into touch. Blackmore was also there shepherding, and I just felt Paul Medley must have thought he could take Nelson. He would possibly have been better just going down.
So Cass inside their own 22 had no chance to run with the ball yet. Nelson, of course, came from Sheffield Eagles. Nice stretching for that pass. I think they're missing Lee Crooks already, Ron.
Well, they haven't had much of the ball so far, and really they need to get hold of the ball for 6 tackles, but they're obviously playing a territorial game. They want to play it down and around the Bradford 25 mark, and they've got to get a good defensive line now, because you can look at this Bradford Northern pack. They're a little bit slow coming back, and I would think that's the game Castleford are looking to play to tire them out.
Well, certainly Dio Powell had no option there. He'd no support. He just had to go down in the tackle, and Roger Simpson lost it. So Cass with a chance now with head and ball just outside the Bradford Northern 22, and it's 2-0 for Northern. Michael.
Now, see, I'd have to disagree with that decision. They've gone back 10 yards. There was absolutely no way the pack was formed. They were pushing, and John Holdsworth should have just got the pack together and said, let's go down again. They weren't in a true form. There was no way Mike Ford could put the ball in the scrum there, and I don't think that was a reasonable decision.
And Michael Ford obviously very politely asking Mr. Holdsworth what that was for. Whatever it was for, it's given Bradford Northern another attacking platform with E.T. Oh, that was a wide one. But McGowan picked it up. Marchant had gone inside, cut out 3 men with that pass, Brett Eatey. Obviously a planned move. Tony Marchant now, struggling towards the Cass 22. McGowan acting half-back. E.T. Knocked backwards, says Mr. Holdsworth. Hobbs, again the long one. Shelford. Well tackled by Richard Blackmore. Well, there's not much room on this touchline for Paul Medley. David Hobbs telling his men to widen out. Well, little that David could do there, Ron.
No, I think the Castleford supporters down below were thinking that Paul Medley was running behind his own men there, and they thought there was a little bit of the offside. But I think really it's important now that Castleford get this scrum, get the ball in, and get on that 10-yard mark.
Yes, they need a move, really, because there's no fluency about them at the moment. Nelson. England. Now can they widen it? Good ball. Beautiful ball. Stedman. Stedman has pace. Oh, what a wonderful try by Graham Stedman. What a superb try.
Well, I'd have to say I told you so. That's the sort of form he's been playing, coming from the back. And when you think, Keith, Roger Simpson is one of the quickest players in rugby league as well. He went between
Tony Marchant and Roger Simpson as though they were sat up on the gantry with us. That's an absolutely marvellous try, and one well worth everybody coming to Ellen Road to see. This really is. We'll play this one back. Look at the good pass there. Keith England comes in. Good short ball. Waiting to go to forward again there. Sean Irwin does awfully well here because it looked like he could have got the ball knocked out. But look at Stedman now. Noble might as well stand still and watch him. Going past Marchant, and Marchant's not slow, I can assure you that. And look at Roger Simpson. Can't even touch him. Doesn't even get there to flick his ankles. And Stedman does the job. That is some try, I can assure you.
Yes, it just shows how one man can change the course of a game. That's Castleford's first real attack, and what a beautiful try. And he's still puffing and blowing from the try and has a job of converting it. With the right side for him. 4-2 to Cass with the kick to come. But that's not going anywhere in particular. But at least Castleford, that should settle them down, Ron.
Well, the one thing that does, you can see the broken line of Bradford Northern there. They really sorted out Castleford. Stedman came through on it, and that was sheer class. Just watch this again. Good play there. That's great play by Erning. Really offloaded the ball well, and straight through the gap. Look at Stedman. Look at the veins in his neck there as he stretches out to get clear of them. And Roger Simpson just can't get there at all. Doesn't even touch him. I think that's an incredible try because of the pace of Roger Simpson. To go round a man like that is something really, really special.
Indeed, it's that sort of try that first attracted Graham Stedman from the big clubs. They saw him scoring tries like that every week.
Well, of course, yes, he played a long time at York. A lot of first division clubs looked at him, weren't quite sure. Featherstone Rovers went in for him, and then he's ended up at Castleford. But that was a tremendous try, and I'm sure, from a coach's point of view, very, very important, because he moved him from stand-off to full-back, and that's the reason he moved him there, and it's come off him in a major cup tie. So very, very pleased, Al Vanderbilt, I'm sure.
Just over 16 minutes gone, and it's 4-2. The fist went in. And suddenly the tides turn. Bradford Northern bossed the first 10 minutes, got a penalty go from David Hobbs, and now that Graham Stedman, brilliant solo try, although, as one has said, Sean Irwin made the gap for him, has put Castleford on top, 4-2. And that looked forward to Keith England, and indeed the Northern fans below us roared for it, but it's taken Cass to the Northern 22. Neil Batty. David Nelson's gone inside. Michael Ford just over the 22-metre line. 4-2 to Cass.
Barnett closed that down well for Northern. There was danger on them, but the young loose forward came in very, very well.
Nico. Let him play it. They didn't. A penalty against Hamer and Noble, and a kickable one.
Very much so. I felt that Bradford Northern got away with it a little bit longer than necessary. Brian Noble's coming back to have a word. Well, in fact, he's coming right up to John Holdsworth, wants a quick word with him. He's saying, I wasn't laying on there, ref. But certainly, when you think of the first penalty Mr. Holdsworth gave in the first couple of minutes for holding down, it was a far shorter time than that. And he's just told Brian Noble in no uncertain terms, just watch me, I'll give that every single time. And let's hope he does, because that's the one thing that speeds the game up when we get a quick play the ball.
Graham Stedman now with his second kick at goal. He failed to add the points to his own brilliant try. Now he has a penalty. There's a scoreline on the electronic scoreboard, and it looks as though 2 more points will be added to that. 6-2 to Cass.
And that's the penalty you pay for it, isn't it, Keith? Just for laying on for those 2 extra seconds, not really worth it. They had a good defensive line about Bradford Northern, and they just need to get up and let them get on with their job.
And as has been said on this wavelength and on several others, when you go to Australia and New Zealand, referees just don't allow it. You've got to get up and both get up and play the ball and let them get up and play the ball.
I think that was the interesting thing in the club championship game, wasn't it? The Penrith did exactly the opposite of that. I'm sure they must be very, very tired, Keith, after celebrating, because it is a great feature of the Australian game.
It is indeed. They're up quickly on both sides. 6-2 to Cass. Well, that was good tackling. Oh, a neat little chip. Oh, could have been a bit of pull on the arm then, but Roger Simpson to Tony Marchant. Nice follow-up that by Tony Smith, but he seemed to be just a modicum of obstruction.
Well, I've got to agree with you there, Keith, and John Holdsworth has just indicated that it was a shoulder charge. Well, I don't care if it was a shoulder charge or he pulled him, whichever it was, he obstructed him, and St. John Ellis had a clear chance to pick the ball up.
A good dummy by Medley, but a good tackle by Smith. Darryl Shelford, one of several New Zealanders out there today. Noble, midway through the first half, just coming up to 20th minute, 6-2 to Castleford. Hobbs, oh, what a bad pass.
Well, that was a very, very disappointing pass, that was. I couldn't believe that was David Hobbs. He's such a class player when he's on his game, and that looked like someone who was totally uninterested, but Castleford lost the ball, kid.
Yes, it was Nelson who lost it, and Powell this time does get a running chance. It gets over to the 22. An appeal for a knock-on. They said he dropped it. The touch judge, I think, agrees.
Yes, John Easton on the far side, working well with John Holdsworth there, and John Holdsworth saying, thanks, I didn't see it. And good team partnership by the linesman from Hull on the far side there with John Holdsworth.
That's Powell running over to the opposite wing. Oh, he certainly lost it.
A miracle it came back to him. He lost it by that much there, Keith.
And yet again, the fist went in. Well, I don't see little Roger Simpson as a man who throws his fist about. He's not big enough.
I think they call those hit and run or tap and run. He just had a little flutter as he went by. I don't think he wants to hang about for the big stuff.
The penalty takes Cass up to the halfway line. Southernwood plays it. Sampson. Oops. Well, this is what you expect in any cup final, and certainly in a Yorkshire Cup final. The tackling's hard. Ooh. But mistimed that time on Sean Irwin, making the difficult transition to centre to second row forward.
Yeah, Cole Fairbank's going a little bit high at the moment, so he just needs to get down around the legs a little bit because he's dropping on tackles. He can't afford to do that.
Miko had an excellent season with Rydell York, and he's certainly lending power and craft to the Castleford pack. Stedman's kick. Powell. Strong young lad. Simpson. Pressed into service again at full back. I think it's primarily a standoff half.
Yes, he started on the wing, but he's played in lots of positions, but I like to see him run the half-back position there. He's got a lot of pace, and that's what's surprising, the way Stedman went by him.
Anderson. Well, again, a ground gainer, gives away head and ball, but I suppose it saves a lot of heavy work by the forwards. 6-2 to Castleford. Just the one try scored. Graham Stedman, superb individual effort from 60 metres. One goal by Hobbs, one goal by Stedman. That's Michael Ford, pursued by Anderson. That's good running by Blackmore, and he plays it to himself. What good intelligent play by Blackmore. And it's set Cass off again, and yet another play the ball. Southernwood, but he's run away from support. No, it's there. This is good stuff. This is real Castleford hot potato handling. Well, they're moving it around now.
Yes, I think those two quick play the balls got their teammates a little bit at 6 and 7s there, because both Blackmore and Graham Southernwood went into great attacking positions but lacked the support.
Stedman, the high bomb. That's going to test Marchant this time. He took it well. He was under a lot of pressure, and that's a penalty. Yes, they got up too quickly.
Yes, it's always a debatable one, this one for me, Keith. That I'd like to see the penalty given back where the ball was kicked from, because I think when you've got a very strong wind behind you, you can kick the ball 60 or 70 yards, and the players get down there. It means the penalty's got to be taken back down there, and it can be an advantage to give the penalty away, if you like.
It's also one of the difficult rules to interpret by referees, because unless they have a quick look at the moment of the kick, they can never be quite sure whether they're offside or not.
Yeah, I think it's always an interesting one when we play it back on the replay, isn't it? And you're still not sure, and you've watched it 3 or 4 times. So what chance has the poor referee got?
McGowan. Northern after their good start, being bottled up much more now. Hobbs, a straight kick. Quarter on our left. Graham Steadman gets to a second attempt, brings in David Nelson. Very speedy runner, Nelson, when he's allowed to be. Good tackle by Brett Eaty. Well, what a burst. Like lightning, Graham Steadman.
Oh, Brian Noble and David Hobbs, the 2 veterans in the Bradford side, did well there. He spotted the gap, Steadman. He couldn't quite get through it, but look at this again.
Michael Ford.
The chance now for Castleford.
Sean Owen. 12 metres out, and a good line out. Sampson, oh dear me. Sampson and Simpson. And a great chance missed.
Well, I wouldn't like to be Dean Sampson when he goes in that dressing room half-time. That was a terrible drive in there. He really only had to stand and give the ball out wide. Castleford had about a 3-man overlap, and Dello van der Veld won't be a happy man with that, I can assure you.
Now David Hobbs leads the charge. 6-2 to Cass. Anderson, Medley, offside, and that was Medley's fault. He held the ball, Shelford wanted it.
Well, you just can't understand why they don't pass it in those situations, can you, Keith? You've got a man coming full tilt onto the ball. You might as well just pop it into the basket for him and let him go away with it, because he's far more chance than Medley had of going through the gap, because Medley was stood still.
Now what's Graham Steadman going to do? Bang it into touch? Or have a go? He's got the touch judges round the back. So he's having a kick at goal. Well worth it?
Well, it's within his range, and it is a cup final, and 2 points could make the difference.
This is the attack. Michael Ford starting it.
Mike Ford going through there. Just wait now. He waits for Sean Owen to get behind him. Tony Smith is on the outside, but Owen was right on the inside. Good cover there. Medley and Simpson. But this is where they missed the chance. A quick play the ball. In fact, we've got to wait for the kick now as Graham Steadman comes in.
And that doesn't even make the mark. It makes Roger Simpson, elusive runner.
Yeah, if you just watch this incident again here, where Dean Sampson takes it in, goes back in, the ball's just come from there. You can see all the northern defences, 6 northern defenders there. That means they've got to be short on the outside. And believe you me, there was a big overlap out there, and Castleford lost a great chance to put an extra try on the board.
Actually, Roger Simpson making himself available all over the place. Northern inside their own half. McGowan, tall, rangy centre, but well held. Castleford appear to have got it together since Steadman went over for his try. Anderson. Well, it's going to come to Nelson. Time to get up steam. Just over the northern side of the halfway line.
Great to see Brian Noble with those tackles, isn't it, Keith? Round the ankles. He's been doing it for year after year after year. Very difficult for players. You don't beat those tackles, and he's a great credit to himself in rugby league, Brian Noble.
Blackmore acting half-back. Well, Sean Owen playing like a forward, born to it. Taking it up, putting the drive in. Sampson, and that was forward.
See, that was Graham Southernwood just moving away from the play of the ball there. He needs to pass it straight from the floor, give the man running on. He ran away, Barnett went with him, and he just tapped his hand as the ball went forward, and a chance lost for Castleford there. And they really look in control again, but making some silly basic mistakes. And
that's a good tackle by Graham Steadman. And Northern looking a bit disorganised at the moment. They'd 11 men to the right and passed it to the left. John Hamer whipping it inside to Brett Eaty, but no way through. Cass defence has really tied it up. Now Carl Fairbank captaining the side today. I wonder if Peter Fox will nip into the dressing room at half-time, Ron.
Oh, I'm sure he will, Keith. I don't think he'll be coming to talk to me and you, that's for sure. He'll have plenty to say about this performance because they're well in the game, and if they can just put it together, he'd love to see a bit of silver on the sideboard to start his career again with Bradford Northern.
Indeed, October 27th, official starting date, but the influence and the charisma of Peter Fox already surrounding Odsal. Cass leading 6-2 with possession inside their own half. 10 minutes before half-time. Sampson. Held, says Mr. Holsworth. Mike Ford attempting to bring Neil Batty in on the burst. Almost up the halfway line. Southernwood against Stedman. Well, head or ball or not on, it's a marvellous ground gainer.
Well, as long as the defensive line there, Keith, they've got to hold them there, keep them in the pocket for 6 tackles, and Stedman is having a magnificent game. Can't put a foot wrong at the moment, can he?
Not at all. Brilliant try, a goal, and some fine line kicking. (6-2) to Cass. Brett Eaty whips it out to Simpson. Interesting to see Simpson taking that, not Tony Anderson. Northern having to drive it up from their own goal line to the 22. McGowan. Shelford, Anderson, Fairbank, just over the 22. But again, the tackle's running away as Hobbs boots it downfield. Interesting to see this, Ron. You were making a point earlier. Stedman's going for the line, Hobbs downfield.
Well, I don't understand David doing that, because the object of kicking up the field now is to get your defensive line up there and keep them into a corner. They've got 2 options if you kick it down the centre, Keith. They can run right or left. Very difficult to get your defensive line up there quick enough to defend the whole of the field, and that's why you put it into the corner.
Sampson as Cass move forward menacingly again. Just a fragile lead at the moment of 6-2. They're looking for more before half-time. Nice ball by Nico to Bradley. Oh yes, Michael Ford. Can he? Oh, good cover by Roger Simpson and Tony Marchant. They've got to get off him. Nico. And yet again a let-off. Now the knock-on ruled, but that looked all over a try when he got to Michael Ford.
Well, it was great covering by Tony Marchant, who came across there and saved the day. Simpson ran off well, but really Castleford should have scored. Just look at this. Look at Bradley going through here. Got the support on the inside by Ford, but Simpson turns well there and gives Bradford Northern 2 options to cover him, because Tony Marchant come across well.
But that's 2 obvious chances for a Cass try, saved by fine cover and then lost possession.
I think that's the object of it. Even though they haven't scored the try, they should have still been in a good attacking position and shouldn't lose possession. You've got to take your 6 tackles in the opposing 25.
Hobbs, and certainly at this moment in time, Ron, Northern looking rattled.
Well, they've been penned in their own half for a long, long time now, haven't they? They've had a few kicks upfield, but there's a charge down. Well, that was nearly.
Roger Simpson in field. Oh, he found the open field if he passes the ball. No, he wants to go himself. Tony Marchant, he'd 4 men to his right, but the attack continues, and Tony Marchant wants a gap. 6 more, I think, was a signal from Mr. Holsworth.
Well, yes, because that is just the first tackle that went down there, and really it just goes to show from Castleford with good defensive play, charging the kick down, they've ended up all at 6s and 7s at the other end of the field.
Medley, Shelford, what a good pass, Powell, Dial Powell's over. That's a marvellous try from one end of the field to the other, and it's Dial Powell who finishes it off in the corner. But what wonderful running by Simpson and then by Darryl Shelford.
Well, I think you'll say that's what you call the rub of the green there, because Castleford, with good defensive play, chose to kick down, could have had a try at the other end, but marvellous attacking play by Simpson. Where do we see this again? Don't see the Simpson bit, but you've got the run round there with Hobbs. Long ball coming out. Medley, they think he's a danger, but he puts the ball on the Shelford. Now watch Shelford going inside. Bad missed tackle there by Tony Smith. A beautiful flick-up ball there. Hands off Mike Ford, hands off Nelson. Nelson should have done better than that. Powell over in the corner. Great try for Northern, but just like we were saying, so easy to get back in the game and those lost chances. Look at this from a different angle now. Medley on the Shelford. Shelford looking all the time. Blackmore doesn't cover it. He shoves off Ford as though he's not there. That's a great wingman's play, that by Powell. Got the ball in the right hand, handed off both Ford and David Nelson, and scores in the corner. What a great try.
6-all. Castleford ruining those two missed chances just 5 minutes before half-time, and Northern are back in it. They go in front. If David Hobbs lands this difficult kick, no, he won't. 6-all. But really, Cass can only kick themselves wrong, because they had two great chances of scoring, spilled the ball, and away came first Roger Simpson, then Paul Medley, then Darryl Shelford, and I think that Darryl Shelford pass behind the back of the defender was a beauty.
Oh, it was a cracking pass, that, but could have come back to poor old Dean Sampson, I think it was, who charged down the kick. Really must have seen his name going up on the scoreboard as picking the ball up and scoring. Roger Simpson snaffled it up from underneath his nose and then ran round a very lax Castleford defence at that stage, I must admit, but it just goes to show that's what you need, and that's why, as I said before it started, cup ties are level, as they really are.
Couldn't be more level, this one. 4 minutes to half-time, and it's 6-all. The kick-off high into the sunshine. Well pouched by Tony Anderson. Good match. This John Smith's Yorkshire Cup final between the sides who've won it this past 2 years. Hobbs. A new spring in Northern's step now. Nothing quite like a try to put a bit of adrenaline in the veins.
Oh, they've just looked up at the scoreboard, Keith, seeing that they've started off all square head again, and said, well, we better get on with it. And it really does put a spring in the step, as you say.
Inside the Northern half, Hobbs this time tries to bisect the two defenders. Stedman. What a good open field runner he is. That's Ford. Batty. Storming stuff by this in the last 3 minutes before half-time. 6-all. Cass in full cry. Round the back of the two of them. Southern Wood, but he's going. Well, they'll go for a try. Perhaps even a drop goal could be useful at this time. What a bad play of the ball. What a sloppy play of the ball. Northern possession. Mr. Holsworth takes his possession up on the other side. England and Southernwood can turn in that. Medley.
I think we better get our safety harnesses on up here at half-time, Keith, because the noise that might be coming from the Castleford Jesson when Daniel van der Velde gets hold of this cast side at half-time might be a bit dangerous for us, because the vibration's sure to come through. Really, that was an atrocious play of the ball situation. Keith England's the last man you'd ever wanted to play the ball, acting half-back. He knows it, everybody else knows it. Graham Southern was playing the ball, and no one else had the presence to get in there and move the ball away quickly. Just incredible, really.
Carl Fairbank. Oh, what a good ball. Carl Fairbank. It's Northern moving forward now. That's the 6th. Cass anxious to get on with it. Sampson. Dean Sampson desperate to prove himself again after his 6-match suspension. So eager, and yet rub of the green not going for him at the moment. Neil Batty. Southernwood. What a good tackle that was too on Sean Irwin. Michael Ford, and what a lovely ball he played into the gap.
Yes, Tony Smith was looking for support there. It wasn't coming a bit too wide out, but Castleford, that's what they've got to do. They've got to get away from
Keith England. try. But what cover by Tony Marchant? He was too late. Michael Ford finishing it off. Tony Marchant did so well to get across, but Ford had the legs to do it, right on the stroke of half-time.
Well, just as I was saying there, Keith, you had to overtake me because I was saying Castleford need to move the ball wide. And look at this, beautiful ball there. Keith England does ever so well there, puts the ball on, well taken on by Blackmore. Blackmore inside to Ford, and this time Marchant can't quite get there. Great chase by Tony Marchant there, tries to get up the top, but Mike Ford dives down underneath, and all Tony Marchant can do is cover over the top of him. And Mike Ford's pleased with that one. And if Graham Steadman adds the extra 2 points for this, I think Castleford might just be able to face Darrell van der Velde in the dressing room at half-time.
Looks a simple enough kick.
From up here.
Indeed. Ron, of course, who's been in this situation many times. No mistake, 12-6. And that was the last action of the first half. A good first half, action-packed. A lot of mistakes, but 3 well-worked tries, 3 beautiful tries, in fact. And I think Castleford deserved to go in leading by 6.
Yes, I think they just about deserve that lead. They have made a lot of mistakes in and around the Bradford 25, but I think when you look at it, Keith, the most important thing in that first half, and the difference possibly between the two sides, has been Graham Steadman. He's been absolutely outstanding in that first half, and he must be well in line for the man of the match at the moment.
Castleford got the first try, absolutely brilliant try, a Bradford Northern penalty goal by David Hobbs, but then we saw a typical piece of Graham Steadman magic, a magnificent individual try. You were saying it needed something, inspiration like that, and up comes Graham Steadman right on cue.
Well, as I was saying also, it justifies Darrell van der Velde playing him for the back. He's got that extra few seconds to look up, and we've seen 2 or 3 other breaks where he hasn't quite got clear. Noble and Hobbs tackled him once when he looked as though he was clear, and I think he really is the difference of the two sides in the first 40 minutes. He's been really outstanding. You mentioned his line kicking. Yes, I mentioned the point, they don't really want it to go out perhaps now, but if there's a second prize, it's going into touch about 2 yards from the corner flag, and that's exactly what he's done on a few occasions.
And we can have a look at that marvellous Steadman individual effort, Ron.
Yes, the ball going out from Southernwood. Sean Irwin does well there. Beautiful pass as the man comes in, and then Steadman opens his leg, takes him past the first line. Watch Tony Marchant. Tony's not slow, he's covering well there. And Simpson, we've seen what Simpson can do when he scores, or when Bradford Northern scored their try, and he leaves Simpson. Simpson can't even touch him. Just watch his face there. Look at that. That's sheer delight in a cup final, but I'd be pleased to score that try in any match, wouldn't you, Keith?
I think so. It's a typical individual try by Graham Steadman, which made it 4-2, and then we had a penalty goal from Graham Steadman, which made it 6-2. And then just when we thought Bradford Northern were in trouble and were badly rattled and shaken up, they came with a try from one end of the field to the other. In fact, it started with Dean Sampson missing a chance at the top end.
Well, that's it. He charged the ball down, didn't he, Dean Sampson? And it looked as though he may get there before Roger Simpson. But Roger Simpson, what an elusive runner he is, and he made ground, twisted and turned the Castleford defence inside out, and they were lax at that stage. They must have thought Dean was going to score, I think, and they weren't at their best. And then the ball moved about, and when it came out to the right, Darrell Shelford did a marvellous job, and Dio Powell, he handed Ford off, then he handed Nelson off and went over in the corner. And you thought that Bradford Northern were going to lift their game then, but like Castleford, Mike Ford, obviously disappointed missing that tackle. He scored the try just before half-time, and I think they've done very, very well to come back just before the interval, because if they'd gone in all square at half-time, Bradford Northern, with Peter Fox's team talk, would have thought, yes, we can win this one. They're not going to think they can't now, but it's still nice to have a buffer of 6 points there.
Indeed. Well, we can show you this marvellous effort by Dio Powell.
There's Simpson, going round Sampson. Sampson disappointing with himself. And now look at that, round Graham Southernwood there. St. John Ellis, well, he turns him inside out. Steadman just gets a hand to him. Then the ball goes to Marchant. Marchant comes inside. Sean Irwin missing that tackle. Nick Howe never gets to Marchant. Marchant, well, he goes to ground there. Ford on top of him. And then watch it.
Brian Noble, acting halfback, zips the ball out. The drive coming through there. Now a quick play of the ball. Heyman playing the ball, and now it comes. Here we have the run round from Hobbs on out there to Medley. Medley now on to Shelford. This is where Shelford, look at that beautiful ball, flicked up round the man, swats Ford off, doesn't he? Get down. And Nelson, well, he could have been sat with us. And that's a great try by Dio Powell, really to put them back in the game.
Indeed, but then of course we said Mike Ford backing up Blackmore. The goal kick by Stedman, and it's 12-6 at half-time to Castleford. And well, that's the Yorkshire Cup final halfway through, but of course we've the other County Cup final this afternoon. That kicks off at 3 o'clock at Warrington, and you can see that game in full on Sportscast tomorrow night. That's the Greenhalghs Lancashire Cup final tomorrow at 7:20. Rochdale Hornets from the second division against St Helens and Ronner Quickwood. Very much on paper a one-horse wire.
Yes, only one runner, I think they say in betting terms, Keith. Rochdale Hornets will certainly see it different than that. I think it's 18 years since they were last in a final, so they're going to give it their all. Their spectators will be absolutely delighted. I've been to Scotland twice this season and seen them, and they play some good stuff from time to time.
Very fast.
But St Helens, well, they're one of the sides who have off days as well. They play some great stuff, but only one runner really. But as we said in cup finals, Keith, you start off even. So that's the great thing about it. But
whatever happens, Rochdale will put up a fight at Warrington. We're absolutely sure of that. Then, of course, on Sportscast on Tuesday night, well, it's always quiz night every Tuesday, and it's the Harrow Tavern in London. Quiz night Tuesday at 9:30. Thursday is always boxing night. From Dunstable, Billy Schwer against Patrick Kami.
Live boxing on British Aerospace Sportscast this week comes from Dunstable Town Hall. Billy Schwer, the popular local boy, is top of the bill.
I mean, it's a commentator's nightmare to say so, but Schwer seems to have it all, doesn't he? He's got a punch, good technician, good mover, and the referee steps in and stops it.
So join Don Durbridge and Gary Mason for live boxing this Thursday on Sportscast.
The other great imaging movement is
On November the 4th, horse racing comes to Sportscast. For the first time, live regular racing will be broadcast to each of our Sportscast venues. So claim your seat for live horse racing beginning on Monday, November the 4th, live from Wolverhampton.
Good crowd here at Ellen Road, bathed in sunshine, plenty of chill in the air, but it's nice to see such a good gathering for this John Smith's Yorkshire Cup final between these two great rivals, Bradford Northern and Castleford. Just to recap on the score for those of you who may well just have tuned in your own pub, club or licensed premises, it's 12-6 for Castleford, 2 tries to 1, a goal by David Hobbs and 2 goals from Graham Stedman. In the second half, we have talked about what will be happening in the dressing room. You talked about Darrell Vandervelde signing off against Cass. But let's take that first. What's he going to pick up? What's he going to berate them for?
Well, Peter Fox has got a big job to do there along with David Hobbs at half-time, because Bradford Northern looked very sluggish. It's looked like the form they've had so far this season. But they need some wins to get confidence, Keith. People start playing totally differently when they get the confidence, and if they could have got in front there, if David Hobbs could have kicked the goal from near the touchline side, that would have lifted them doubly. But then they had a lapse there, allowed Castleford to get it back in front just before the interval, and really he's got to pick them up and say, get your confidence back, look at yourselves, you're the sort of side beating Wigan, beating the best, but you've got to do it on the day. You've got it. He'll go through them, he'll pick out the quality players in the side, then he'll lift the young lads like Darrell Powell. He'll also use Powell's try for the experienced players and say, look, this young lad, look what he's done. You lot have done it many times before. This lad's had to do it today. What about you putting it in alongside of him now? And then we can go out there and we can beat Castleford. And there's no reason why they can't come back and play a big part in this final and win the game, because rugby league is like that, Keith.
Conversely, what's Darrell Vandervelde saying to Kaz?
Well, he's saying, for goodness sake, let's get the basics right. You are making so many silly mistakes in and around the Bradford Northern 25. You've done the hard part. Stedman's kicking's brilliant. You're getting up there, you're doing your tackling stint, and then when you get possession, which is what you want in their 25, you're not creating enough chances because you're not playing well at the play of the ball. Some of the sloppiness at the play of the ball has been atrocious, and they've got to just hold that ball at the right time. There's players are in the wrong position. We saw Sean Irwin do it once, we saw Dean Sampson do it once. You see, there's not a dictator in there possibly at the moment. Someone's got to get hold of them. There's no Lee Crooks, there's no John Joyner. Mike Ford or someone like that has got to get there and say, you, out the way, you, get in there, and dictate it, and make sure they know where they're going. They know where they're going, but they see that try line, you see, Keith, it's a cup final, and they want their name on the score sheet. It's all about winning the cup, and winning it as a team game. Okay, if you're happy and lucky enough to get on the score sheet, that's a plus part, but that's only for the records, isn't it? You just want to be part of the team that wins something.
Michael Ford, you just mentioned, he was bought from Oldham by Darrell Vandervelde to do the job he is doing, to organise the backs. He's also, in the absence of Lee Crooks, having to do a bit of organising of the forwards as well.
Yes, and it's very important when you get a player. He's a super link man. I think he's one of the best linking halfbacks in our game of rugby league. But he also likes runners coming off him. And if he can get these two big centres, Bradley and Blackmore, we've seen Blackmore once or twice coming in. If he can get them coming a little bit farther and then get Batty and Irwin going a bit wider, they'll cause a lot of damage. He runs across the field. I think he calls it east-west, and he wants some north-south runners. Otherwise, he's keeping going east and keeping going west. And it's very, you watch the way Mike plays, that's how he links his football. And he does go a bit across the field. But as he knows where he's going, he can straighten up. But if he can get the straight runners coming off him, then very, very important.
Well, Northern are already on the field. Castleford, with this 12-6 lead, are taking it now. And not the slightest doubt that although Peter Fox officially takes up residence at Odsal again on October 27th, he will have been at half-time. The blast of the hooter, Mr. Holsworth and his officials take up their positions, and it will be Northern who will kick off. Northern trailing 12-6, and of course psychologically an awful time to go behind the last move before half-time.
Yes, they didn't even start again, did they, Keith? That was a bad mistake by Bradford Northern. But saying that, both the sides have retained the 13 men that finished the first half, and Leo Batty took a bit of a chance there, picking up one off his bootlaces like that.
Already Cass are on the move. Sampson, the initial break by St. John Ellis. Sampson, strong young forward. Dad, of course, coach at Doncaster.
Yes, was coach at Castleford before Darrell Vandervelde, and I think John Holsworth telling Carl Fairbank to keep the arm out. Good hard forward, Carl Fairbank. Great competitor. Top second row forward in our game.
But like all hard competitors, there's always a risk that it'll give away a penalty. And it's Castleford in possession with England just outside the 22. Michael Ford didn't have much room there. That's Tony Smith. Graham Southernwood, in fact, slipped the ball to him. But it's still cast dangerous at 12-6. Nikau. Sampson. Southernwood got it away very quickly. England running and ready for that. Slipped it out untidily, but they couldn't allow two knock-ons there. The Northern fans happy, Castleford fans a little angry. I suppose a double knock-on, you've got to stop it, Ron.
Well, I think they were saying the ball went backwards there, Keith. Whether it did or not, or whether it came off a Bradford Northern player, I don't know. But it was silly play. Once again, they just didn't settle it down. Keith England tried something when he was virtually held. He's not the best of ball handlers anyway, so why not just take the tackle? You're still in a good attacking position, and let's settle it down. It's the first minute of the second half. We're leading 12-6. 1 point might be advantageous there.
In fact, I was waiting for the drop goal, Ron. I thought it might well have been on.
Well, I think it might have been because Graham Stedman was in at first and second man there, and maybe that's what they'd gone for, but nevertheless, I don't think they needed to lose the ball.
The ball released by John Hamer then. In fact, it was Carl Fairbank putting it back. That's Hobbs, real wallop. Well taken by Stedman.
Well positioned as well, wasn't he, Keith? Right on that touchline side, he did well there.
Nelson, always ready to come inside. In fact, one of the talking points of the game is that, oh, wait, let's wait.
Well, really, I think John Holdsworth could have waited for some advantage there, Keith. A correct decision, but when you look where Graham Stedman was in broken play like that, I would suggest he hasn't done Castleford too many favours there. Beautiful spotting there. Just look at that. He beats the tackle. No point there. Medley's through the gap there, knocks off Medley, and that would have been Stedman one-on-one with Simpson. I bet Simpson's glad.
Yes, but Noble, according to laws, had strayed. Cass instead have a penalty. Northern have temporarily gathered themselves. 12-6 to Cass. Up to the 20. Ooh, that was high. Mr. Holder said, not dangerous.
Well, I can't believe they missed stuff like that. That was very, very high, and it's 2 points, and it was Carl Fairbank once again.
Oh, what a beautiful take. Good cover by Marchant. He had to come in from his wing. There was a 3-to-1 overlap if that had moved out, but it's still Cass with Ford, Irwin, Nikau, Stedman up over the 22. This is Cass at their best. Hobbs getting up slowly, slowing play down deliberately. Well, I wonder if the drop's on now, Ron.
Well, I don't know. You see they had Keith England in at the acting halfback there again. A high kick up. They're going to go for this way.
It's bounced badly and nicely for Northern, but the knock-on rule.
Well, referee John Holds was saying Bradford Northern knocked it on, so there'll be a scrum to Castleford head and ball right on the Bradford line, and should be another chance for them.
It should be, well, could be a try. We shouldn't say should, but if they heel the ball cleanly, the pack wheeling, if Cass make the most of head and ball here and move it quickly, surely they can get an overlap on this right-hand side. But that's all theory. 5 minutes gone in the second half. Oh, yes! What a dummy by Tony Smith.
Well, that was a great try, wasn't it? I don't know where the Bradford Northern back row was there. I think they were too interested in carrying on in the scrum and trying to create some havoc with the scrum, because they were wheeling the scrum round, and well, it was a diving pass from Mike Ford. It was a la Rugby Union from 20 years ago. Look at this kid. Beautiful diving pass there. Out to Tony Smith. Steps inside Anderson and Simpson. And well, where's the back row forwards? Nowhere to be seen.
Look at the grin on his face.
Oh, he's a happy man. Tony Smith, great tie scorer. Follows Lee Crooks a lot when Lee Crooks is playing, but proved he's got qualities of his own there. And of course, I think you'll be saying this is an easy one, Keith.
Well, as a man who's never in his life kicked a goal on a rugby league pitch, I think it is easy, Ron. You know better.
They're all easy from up here, I've told you that, Keith, but certainly with some of Graham Stedman's qualities, he's done the job, and Castleford should not lose from this position now, should they?
18-6.
Okay, he's coming out the scrum here. Mike Ford, beautiful diving past that. Steps inside Anderson, Tony Smith does there, and round Simpson. Really caught them flat-footed, and look at the delight on his face there. I think that's only surpassed by Graham Stedman when he scores a try with that happiness.
So Northern now deep in trouble. 18-6 down. And really, Tony Smith sold an outrageous dummy then. But of course, Northern were expecting an overlap on the right. And that's a penalty to Cass, not letting him play the ball. Mr. Holzer presumably must have said hell because Nelson was on his feet.
Well, this is a difficult one, but if you shout it out very loud, and David Hobbs speaking to the referee there, and I just wonder why David Hobbs is speaking to the referee. Maybe he's forgot he's not captain today, that Carl Fairbank is.
Stedman does the necessary. Sampson. England. Castleford now oozing confidence, not just because they're leading 18-6, but because since the start of the second half they've been on top. Smith. Nikau. He's lost it, and it bounced forward. Almost an interception, and almost a chance to pick up a loose ball, but Northern desperately needing a try now to get back into it.
Well, you knock balls on in that position, Keith, when you're not that deep. They just weren't deep enough, Castleford there, giving Bradford Northern the opportunity to stand on top of them just a bit too much, and Neil Batty just took his eye out for fraction, and once again Castleford haven't taken the 6 tackles.
Darryl Shelford. Northern quickening the pace now, 12 points behind. Brett Eatey there, a little unsure what to do. Hamer. Not a lot of ground gain. He's brought down not far from where Eatey was tackled. And Fairbank manages to get it out. Simpson.
He did well there, Keith, and that's just what I was on about, running off at the play of the ball. Castleford got away with it there then, should have been penalised, and Bradford Northern would have the chance for another 6 tackles.
Good straight running by Darryl Shelford, up to the 22. John Hamer. All broke through the cover, but couldn't slip it away. Northern looking for a try now to get back into it. Long one by Anderson. Tony Marchant's got to go inside. Well, still a couple to go. Brett Eatey. Barnett. Hobbs. Medley. He held on. He was trying to pass. This is the 6th. Will they put up the high bomb? Fairbank wants him to. No, Hobbs is going to try to get to the line. Medley, and he got it out. Barnett got it out too, and it's loose. Cats have it, and that's the end of that.
Well, it's interesting to see whether Mr. Holsworth counts that as the first tackle, because it was on the last tackle, and really this should be the first tackle now. It'll be interesting to count these, Keith.
10 minutes gone in the second half. Cass leading 18-6, and
He's wiped it clean,
yes,
so it's saving us counting that 6. He must have known we were going to check on it.
Well, Graham Stedman trying to do one of his long-range specials then, but well taken by Hobbs. Irwin.
See Carl Fairbank a little bit high again there. He's already had a warning and got away quite well with another one. I just think if Carl just gets down a little bit lower, bends his back a fraction, good forward, no need to hit people on the head.
Tony Marchant. Reception committee of 3. Simpson. In all fairness, Roger Simpson hasn't had a bad game in comparison with Graham Stedman.
Well, he's been keeping Bradford Northern going at the back. I suppose when you're behind the side, which is struggling, that you get plenty of opportunity. It's a bit like the goalkeeper who let 6 in, isn't it, Keith? He's normally man of the match as well.
Brett Eatey then not knowing which way to go, ending up in trouble. Barnett, Hamer. Took it up well.
Yeah, good solid tackle from Dean Sampson in there, assisted by Batty.
David Hobbs looking to make the half break and slip the ball away, well covered. Simpson again doing a lot of work, puts up the high one, chases it himself to put everybody onside. Nelson again.
Looked a bit straight as well, Keith, didn't it? And you see, that's what happens. Keith England just overran the ball a little bit, got tackled and lost the ball, and silly mistakes.
Fairbank. No, Carl Fairbank talking as he went down. Brett Eaty. Well, Brett Eaty not unloading as often as I think he wants to and needs to.
He's not running with any conviction, is he, Keith? He seems to be in 2 or 3 minds every time he gets the ball. And for a half-back, you can't do that. You've got to be so alert and have things set up in your mind before you even get your hands on the ball.
Barnett. Medley. Not had much chance to run, but he's going now up the touchline. Over the 22. Northern 18-6 down. And Tony Anderson puts up the high one, but what a badly directed one. But he's after it himself, and well taken by Stedman. They waited for Anderson there, the Northern players.
Well, I can't believe that there. He put up a super bomb there, Tony Anderson, and he's the only single Bradford Northern man who went anywhere near that, Keith. He must be very, very disillusioned with that. That really was an opportunity. If Bradford had 3 or 4 men there, they could have sneaked 6 points near the post.
Nikal. A lot of fire in this game now because Northern know they've got to get some points. Stedman off again, gallops, bangs it downfield. Bounces kindly for Roger Simpson, who can run a bit himself. Both fullbacks have done a lot of broken field running this afternoon. E.T. McGowan.
Yes, I think the only thing where Simpson possibly hasn't tried to match Stedman is with the field kicking, isn't it? Stedman's been absolutely brilliant there, but Simpson doing a great job for Bradford as well.
And Ian Wilkinson, of course, badly plagued by injuries this season. Missing out at fullback again. Hamer. Noble is the acting halfback. Anderson and Hobbs the run around, and it's a little bit of a misunderstanding, but Hobbs, who's there but Simpson? I think if the Bradford man of the match, he's got to go with this little man.
You're starting to wonder whether there's any more playing, aren't you, Keith? Every time I listen to you, it's Simpson and Simpson. That's all we seem to see.
I call everybody Simpson, Rob. Oh, what a good catch by Fairbank. And where are you? Where are you? And he's entitled to say it.
I think Castleford might have been offside there as well. The ball was knocked down, and I think those men went there. Well, Tony Marchant's got it, so maybe it's just Bradford head and ball. But
Carl Fairbank needed support here.
In he goes, takes that superbly. Keith England comes in, St. John Ellis there, looking to pass the ball. I think it's eventually knocked down, but
it's Northern over the 22. 15 minutes gone in the second half. There's time for Northern if they can get a score. It's 18-6, but it's Northern now showing their most sustained form of the match so far. Good wide one, surely. No, what good cover, marvellous cover on Barnett. He sold the dummy, almost went in. Brett Eaty, is he? No, he's a metre out. That's Barnett caught, and Eaty. Hobbs.
Well, they work that move so often. It's a David Hobbs one from a long time ago with feathers and overs. But Castleford had 6 or 7 men within 5 or 6 yards of the corner flag there. They were waiting for the switch on the blind side, and it was never on. This is when you've got to be aware out on the field that someone's sussed out what you're doing and make your options different straight away. But Castleford have got off lightly there because Bradford Northern have been putting a little bit of pressure on. But I think the interesting thing is that Castleford have been starting to miss some tackles, but Bradford Northern haven't capitalised on it.
What is significant, though not yet reflected on the scoreline, Ron, is that the last 10 minutes have been very much Bradford Northern's. He's given that's a penalty to Northern. That's encroaching by the attacking side.
Yes, it's one that John Holdsworth normally gives one a game for this, and he's quite correct in doing it because he's got to do it. But I don't know why players do it. Myself, I'd like to see the law where you can't move until the kicker kicks it. Never stop any of that then, and the players would know where they stand. John Holdsworth quite correct.
And it changes the pattern of this particular period of the game, because Castleford were bringing it away. Now they're penalised near their own line. Northern have another chance. Paul Medley.
Yes, it's interesting how you can dummy at a penalty, tap penalty like that, but you can't dummy at a scrum. I don't know. Get a little bit of 6 and 7 out there.
Carl Fairbank. And again it goes. That could be 6 more. A metre out. Storming attack by Northern. And And again it goes out loosely. Retiti. Castleford holding out. Marchant acting half-back. McGowan runs it in.
One-man rugby, no good, Keith. They need to move it wide. They do. In.
David Nelson is quite close to the post, and there's a huge gap between Nelson and the corner flag, but they've taken it the other way through Fairbank to Eatey. Eatey floats it out now. They've got men to spare, but Hamer straightens it up down the middle.
Can't believe that, Keith, can you, with the overlap and a good attacking line there. And they take it back in again. Bad play, but they've still got a chance.
And then a kick, that could be 6 more. Yes, it is.
Well, there's absolutely no way there. The ball played the man, and I think Bradford Northern were very fortunate there.
But give Northern credit. This is a terrific sustained attack and good defence by Cass to hold out Fairbank. But the chance was missed when John Hamer went straight with an overlap on his right. Noble, Hobbs, the long one again. And the knock-on by Dale Powell, and that's an anti-climax.
Well, they've had the ball for so many tackles now, and really, if they didn't breach the Castleford defence, then I think they're going to struggle. I thought Carl Fairbank had the chance to go underneath the post if he really run with conviction. He was looking for the support, and as you said, he was just a metre from the line, Keith. And I felt with his strength, power and pace, he could have got over if he'd gone for it. Castleford
surviving the hottest spell of Northern attack of the game and holding on to their 18-6 lead. And that's got to be a penalty. What on earth Carl Fairbank playing at, I don't know.
Well, I'm absolutely amazed, and I thought he was fortunate not to get a penalty given against him, because Carl Fairbank had made every intention there that the Castleford player wasn't going to get up until he got up, and that's not the law of the game. You've got to get up as quickly as possible, and I think Carl Fairbank was a little bit fortunate not to be penalised earlier there.
And we have to remember that Carl Fairbank is captain for the day, and yet giving a badly needed breather to Cass. Sampson. Southernwood. 2 balls on the pitch, Southernwood playing with the one. England getting an earful of knee, but he won't feel it. And could we see Cass, after 10 minutes of sustained defence, come away and pinch one? Tony Smith, Steadman, Sean Irwin, got it out. Nikau, and he slipped just as he was on his way.
Beautiful ball that of Sean Irwin's, but they've got a great chance here now.
The long wall, yes! That's it! Graham Steadman's second try, and that's finished it. Bradford Northern have hammered the Castleford line, failed to do it, and in one quick sucker punch, Graham Steadman's second try, and it looks all over.
Well, Graham Southernwood was the man. Sean Irwin had put a beautiful ball to Nikau there. Nikau just slipped, but Southernwood took the ball away and just put it in the gap. Just watch this. Ford there's the decoy, misses Ford, hits Steadman. He took 3 defenders in with that pass. Beautiful play. Steadman, round Simpson behind the post. Look at that, beautiful. Just uses Ford, took 2 players in, plus the marking man, Steadman, linking up there, round behind the post. And I think, as you said, Keith, that's the end of the game.
Steadman bangs over the goal, and it's 24-6.
And I think if you want to get yourself well in the limelight, Keith, now, at this very early stage, you could tip the man of the match and get it right.
I think anybody could tip the man of the match. I think the viewers watching on their own sets could get the man of the match right. It's Graham Steadman by Street, and a double substitution by Northern, which may well just be a token substitution. Brett Eatey and Paul Medley, the men coming on. I think this could be almost a chance for Peter Fox to look at these two.
Well, they can try anything when the scenes like this, can't they? The game's gone away from Bradford Northern now, and really we'll just have to see if young Croft and Craig Richards can put a bit of fire into the Bradford Northern pack. They're both strong runners, they'll get involved, and maybe they can just stem the tide a little bit, put a few points on the board.
Both forwards, of course. Northern coming into this game with no back substitute.
Yes, I think you'll see Barnett move to that scrum half position now that I've mentioned he played that before, and see if they can just put 2 fresh forwards on and a different style of play from the half-back position.
Cass now know that short of an incredible revival by Northern, the Yorkshire Cup is theirs for the 2nd consecutive year. His magnificent first half try now very much a memory.
That was interesting there, you see, Keith. Castleford moved up very similar to when the penalty was given against them last time, and I just don't see the difference. It is confusing for the players, but Bradford Northern, they'll just get on with their game now and see what they can sort out.
And if the miracle doesn't happen, this will be Castleford's 4th Yorkshire Cup success in 11 seasons. Amazing consistency in this trophy, if not in others, Ron.
Well, it's the one I think you'll find it why Lee Crooks hasn't played today. He's got a chapped nerve in his neck, and if it had been Wembley, I think you might have seen Lee Crooks playing today, but I think they feel that it's very important to have him in the championship, and they could beat Bradford North today without him. It looks as though they're going to be proved correct.
To Bradford Northern.
Yeah, an interesting one that, Keith, because it touched the Castleford player. It certainly didn't touch the ground, and whether it should have been back up where the ball went, it was kicked from, I don't know, but certainly correct decision for Bradford Northern. And we've seen Tony Anderson going to scrum half and Barnett the stand-off, so Bradford Northern having a good old reshuffle.
Well, they're still full of fight, but how galling for them to have that sustained spell of attack without scoring and then to concede that 4th try. Shelford 24-6 for Castleford. Bradford Northern not giving up without a fight, even if it's a hopeless one. Anderson whipped it inside to Craig Richards. Brother Basil on Warrington's books. That's the other sub, David Croft. Came on at St Helens last week and shook a few up. Anderson to Hobbs, to Fairbank, Powell. Good tackle by Owen. The bomb by Simpson. Oops. McGowan. Well, why didn't he hold on to it? Well, he's going to show me why.
Well, I've got to agree with you though, Keith, because why he had to kick there when he had a gap to go towards the line and run through, I do not know. I really couldn't understand it there. All he did was lose momentum. But there again, when things are going against you, that's just the sort of things that happen. Something comes into your mind, and McGowan thought it was the right thing to do, but it didn't quite come off for him.
Nelson.
He looked as though he was running in mid-air then. The wholehearted player, isn't he, David Nelson? Of course, he'll be pleased with this final. Since his switch with David Plans going to Sheffield Eagles, and David Nelson coming to Castleford.
Steadman again, and that classic old cliche, never better, hasn't put a foot wrong all afternoon.
No, a couple of tries, 4 goals. What can you ask for in the cup final but that? But you know, Keith, if you go into Castleford this evening with a trophy and go in and around the pubs and clubs there'll still be a few playing, but I think he's a better standoff. Never happy, I think.
They pay the money on.
Yes. Great supporters, that's for sure.
Hobbs, Anderson floats the long one out. Wasn't a particularly good pass taken at 2nd attempt by Darryl Shelford. Northern still trying it. I suppose if they got a try, they might feel there's a miracle on the cards, but they had a good 10 minutes of it in this second half and couldn't get a point out of it. Hobbs. Shelford decides. Oops. Well, is that 6 more? Barnett. He's lost it. Knock on.
Well, stupid play by Blackmore that. Bradford Northern were going nowhere. He's knocked the pass down, giving Bradford Northern head and ball at the scrum. So more pressure for Castleford.
But they can soak up a bit of pressure with a 24-6 lead. 4 tries to 1, 2 of them from Stedman. Come on, once again, Carl Fairbank having to appeal for support. Over the 22, Hamer. Cass defending fiercely. Barnett and Simpson. He's lost it. Blackmore. Simpson getting back. Blackmore's going to make it. No, St. John Ellis. What a run by Blackmore. Mistake by Simpson.
Well, yes, Blackmore should have kept going there. I felt he was well clear. But St. John Ellis, he put the ball out to him in the end. Blackmore swatting people off there, ducking under tackles, gets a good pass out. And possibly St. John Ellis should have gone back inside, I don't know. He must have fancied his chances. Tony Marchant doing a marvellous cover job, and Roger Simpson getting back and nearly thrown into the third row of the stand. I think that's the difference, though, isn't it, Keith? When Castle get the ball in attack, they look as though they're going to score a try nearly every time.
Most of the play in the second half has been in the Castleford half, but the tries have come to Castleford. As Fairbank struggles over the 22, no ball. Tired lunge by one of the game's longest servants. Hamer, ruled to have knocked on. And that's head on ball to Cass in a dangerous position. Wouldn't put it past him to make a 5th try out of it.
No, Bradford look a very tired side now, don't they? Slightly disillusioned. They'll look up the scoreboard, look up the clock and know there's no way back. But they've got to give themselves credit and keep at it until the final hooter.
Michael Ford getting it out. Blackmore. Ford again. The short ball to Nikau. They're on the 22. Sean Owen taken by Richards. Just over the 22. Michael Ford working the move. Sampson. Southernwood. And the high one by Stedman. Bradley's up there and offside. No doubt about it. They were offside the moment the ball was kicked. Bradley couldn't resist the temptation. Hobbs bangs it into touch. 24-6, Cass lead. Cass looking offside. Craig Richards. Hobbs got it out to McGowan. Well smothered. And the touch judge saw something, possibly a punch thrown in the tackle. Martin Ketteridge gets a few minutes run. And a penalty, in fact, awarded to Cass.
Oh, and David Hobbs saying a few words to John Easter there, and I think David Hobbs is going to be in bother. He certainly wasn't being very polite to John Easter there, and I think basically saying let's get on with the game.
8 minutes left. Well, I think they're in that sort of situation. Usually see a penalty awarded to the attacking side, but obviously the touch judge saw something in the tackle or off the ball, and it's certainly Stedman who's going to set up another Cass attack.
Yes, I think it was John Haber who was the infringer there, and rather silly when you had Bradford Northern in possession.
Owen enjoying his role as a second row forward. Went on tour as reserve Great Britain centre. Tawala Nikau. Nice little dummy and almost try number 5. May well be on the cards. Ford sweeping it out. Stedman. No trouble. Second row forward, Neil Batty.
Beautiful play, always on the cards. Bradford Northern in total disarray. Graham Stedman, the man, linking the move there again. As you say, Keith, by far and away the man of the match today. Malcolm really sure, and who knows, could clinch him a spot. Ball coming from Nico. Beautiful long pass from Mike Ford there. On the Stedman. Stedman just getting round, putting the overlap in. Tony Smith taking off the ball there. Neil Batty sees the gap, goes between Simpson and Marchant, and Simpson and Marchant have done some sterling defensive work today, and they've had plenty of chance. This is it from behind the line. Look at that beautiful ball from Ford. This Stedman, little shimmy, just takes himself around Noble, creating the gap. David Hobbs in no man's land. Neil Batty just hands him off with the greatest of ease and takes the two defenders, Simpson and Marchant, over the try line. 28-6.
What a wonderful comeback from the man whose career was deemed over because of a knee injury. Indeed, had a benefit, gets a try, and Graham Stedman, well, he missed. He's human after all, Ron.
Well, it was interesting that, because it was going between the posts when it left us and went up above the roof height, wasn't it? But yes, he is human, but he's had a marvellous match.
I think Malcolm really, as you said, watching, Graham Stedman didn't do himself any friends on the last tour. He has to prove something to Malcolm, really. May well be on the way towards rehabilitation.
Well, still sure he's got a lot of skill, and that's what you need, don't you, to break down defences such as the Australian.
Oh, Nelson's away, and he's a flyer. Southernwood. Well, he might have whipped it out to Stedman, who was up there looking for his hat-trick. 28-6 to Cass, 5 minutes left. Nikau, a dummy, and a good ball. Again, it was Batty and the knock-on by Bradley. And St. John Ellis looks at Graham Bradley, used to say, what on earth did you do that for? That was mine.
Well, absolutely. I think Bradley wanted to take his hands away when he got halfway to putting them out there. He was going straight to St. John. Any one of 3 or 4 from St. John Ellis just saying, I'd have walked in there. But what a great run started off with David Nelson, didn't it?
And what a finish from Neil Batty.
Yes, it looked as though he was going in for his second straight away then, but got the ball out well, and really Castleford were queuing up in numbers.
And we've won against the head there. St. John Ellis. Stedman having the time of his life. Nelson, oh dear, that could be a knock-on. Yet he went forward. Well, that's the first chance David Nelson's had of a try, and he spilled it.
I think Stedman might have been able to score himself there, Keith, but he was totally unselfish, put the ball out to David Nelson, and really, I think Stedman's been such a revelation in this game today. It's been a pleasure to watch him, hasn't it?
Simpson. It's been a hard road for the Bradford Northern pack. Peter Fox, the thoughtful Peter Fox, watching this, he knows he's got a lot of work to do. He's got the raw material, but the work there to be done. Northern went into this match with high hopes. At 6-all. Those hopes look justified. But Castleford's extra pace, allied to some stubborn defence and Northern's errors, is taking Castleford through to a second consecutive Yorkshire Cup win and their fourth in 11 years. St. John Ellis. The tackle's being missed now by tired defenders. But of course, Northern players, knowing they're not merely playing for pride, they're playing for a little note in Peter Fox's notebook and dossier. Because when he starts picking sides, he will remember what he's seen. Nikau. He's been a huge influence on the Castleford pack. New Zealand test player. Irwin, Great Britain Tourist Centre now in the second row. Southernwood. Ford, the cross kick. That'll go dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Smith awarded the White Rose Trophy and a cheque for £50. Today's man of the match, the Castleford #1.
Surprise, surprise. Graham Stedman is named man of the match. I think if anyone else had been named, it'd been uproar. Shelford, Simpson's tried so hard. What a lovely little chip. Oh, he deserves a try. He won't get there, I don't think. But what a good finish by the little man. Tony Marchant, McGowan, they're keeping it flying. Are Northern going to get some pride with a super try at the end? Hamer, good finish this by Northern. They won't win the Yorkshire Cup, but they might win some friends with a try now. But not that way. But what a lovely break by Roger Simpson. The one man in the Northern backs that's looked capable of sweeping his way through, sidestepping like a Stedman, but without the finish. And Cats breathe again. 28-6 as we enter the final minute. We're into added time. Sun shining at Ellen Road on Castleford yet again. A side who would like to think that they can carry over their success in the Yorkshire Cup to the Championship and Challenge Cup. They had 3 consecutive defeats in the Championship, but plenty of time for them to come back if they can build on this. There is the hooter, the end of the 1991 John Smith Yorkshire Cup final. A comprehensive victory by Castleford with their 5 tries to 1 and 28 points to 6. Northern fought back to 6-all just before half-time. Michael Ford's try sent in Cats with a 12-6 lead, and in the second half, although Northern at one stage put up a barrage of attacks, the Castleford line held. The chances were spilled, and at the end of the day, Cass's greater pace and penetration told. But what is nice is to see that these 2 great Yorkshire sides, there's not one bit of malice. They're shaking hands in the middle of the park. No ill feeling whatsoever, no grudges, handshakes all round as we prepare for the presentation of the Cup and medals. Lee Cook's going on to share the triumph in his tracksuit. Yes, the Castleford fans, as they go to salute their side, also have some applause for Lee Cooks. Lee Cook's in the tracksuit, at the back applauding his colleagues. And there are the delighted Castleford Weldon Road fans. They're the team lining up for them. And they give a bow. Lee Cook's there with them, not able to play today because of injury, shaking hands with all his colleagues. Castleford's Cup, yet again, 2 years in a row. Lee Cook's perhaps thinking how nice it would have been to have been there, but happy enough that his side has taken it. And while all this mini lap of honour goes on, the Bradford Northern players wait disconsolately to go up for the losers' medals. The Cas players milking this as well they might and are entitled to. There's a knot of Cas fans at that end of the ground, and we're going to have the little courtesy observed again. Well, that's nice. A little bit of individuality from Cas, and now I think they're prepared to take their medal. David Hobbs standing alone and dejected there, talking to the Cas officials, Darrell Vandervelde and Mickey Morgan. John Joyner down there too. And Castleford go up the steps. Tawera Nikau first up, who captained the side today. Proud moment for the New Zealander. He's come from a long way the other side of the Tasman to pick up an English trophy. Will Bet be the first of several this season. Castleford have been the nearly men for a few years now after their great win over Hull Kingston Rovers at Wembley. They feel a lot better now. Michael Ford, who's come over to carve a new career in Yorkshire. St. John Ellis, Beefy and Dean Sampson, happy to be back after his suspension. Sean Irwin, second row. Steadman gets the bottom of the plinth. Ron Hill trying to grab hold of the man of the match, Graham Steadman. Bradford Northern now going up for their losers' medals. They put up a great fight, particularly in the second half. And if they'd got a try during that spell of attack, well, one can't say it would have been different, but it might have been closer. And it's Graham Steadman and Ron Hill. We're obviously having microphone problems there. The microphone giving us a little trouble there, and Graham Steadman, as Ron Hill was trying to interpret, saying then that Graham Steadman regarded Roger Simpson, his opposite number today, as a man in Malcolm Reilly's notebook.
As long as I'm in the first 15, I'm not bothered where I play, but things have worked out quite well. I enjoy playing at standoff, I also enjoy playing at one, but as long as we keep winning, I'll play anyway.
But this is a very important season for Castleford. They've won the Yorkshire Cup once again, but bigger things they're hoping for, aren't they?
Well, that's right, yeah. It's always nice to win a cup, whether it be the Yorkshire Cup, Regal Trophy, Challenge Cup or the Championship, but we'll set our sights on the Regal Trophy. We've got OK, which is a tough tie away, but hopefully we can get things together like we've done this afternoon and carry it on.
And what about the feeling before the game? Because obviously with Lee Crooks not playing, there must have been a little bit of disappointment in the camp.
Well, we've got to hold your hand up to Lee because he wasn't 100%, but he might have got through a full fixture on 75%, but he held his hand up and said he wasn't fit, which all credit to the lad, and Dean Sampson's come in and done a tremendous job for us and made good yardage.
And is this anything to do with Castleford wanting to win the league, though? Because, of course, taking a chance in a cup final, they might have done if it had been in Wembley, but there's a long, hard season ahead.
Well, it's all about consistency, Ron, and we've had one or two little setbacks. We've lost points against Leeds at home and Widnes at home, but we've got to set our sights on getting them back over at Norton Park and also down at Evelyn, but it's early doors yet, but we'll just set us targets up to Christmas and we'll take it from there.
That's the club targets. What about your personal target? Must be that Australian tour.
Well, it's every player's dream to tour. I did it on the last tour to New Guinea and New Zealand. It was extra special, great set of lads, and I'd love to experience it again, and hopefully if I can keep up my form, there's no reason why I shouldn't.
Well, that's Graham Steadman, the man of the match here today at the John Smith's Yorkshire Cup, and what a great credit he's been to the game today.
Fulsome praise from Ron Hill for one of the present-day Castleford players, Graham Steadman. Man of the match today, no doubt about it. 2 tries, including a spectacular 65-metre run in the first half, and 4 goals. The Castleford players still taking the cup round to the delight of their fans. Those 3 league defeats forgotten. And don't forget, of course, 3 o'clock at Wilderspool. It's the Lancashire Cup final, the Greenhalghs Lancashire Cup final between Rochdale Hornets from the 2nd Division and St Helens of the 1st. That will be on Sportscast in its entirety tomorrow night from 7:20. But in the meantime, the joyous scenes down on the pitch as Castleford take the applause of their fans. Final score, Bradford Northern 6, Castleford 28, winners of the Yorkshire Cup for the 2nd consecutive year, Castleford. Goodbye from Ellen Road.